so welcome to your reading. Let's find out how your life is about to change. We have the Hermit card here, we have the Four of Pentacles, we have the Queen of Wands, and I did put some puzzle pieces over this card. My husband and I have been working on a puzzle, so they were just readily available. But just to keep YouTube happy, this card is a little bit revealing, so just kind of covered up the more revealing parts of this card. It's a really pretty deck though. I highly recommend the Tarot del Fuego deck. It's super cute. But anyway, we have the Luck card, we have Community, we have Nest, we have Dragons, Slay Them All, and we also have Healing Waters. So many messages came flooding in. As soon as I laid out your cards, I was like, oh man, like Group 1 spiritual team has a lot to say, and I'm gonna try to make sure I explain it to you all in a concise and easy to understand way, but it is a lot of messages, and I feel like your guides are just so excited for you. So excited for you because I feel like in a lot of ways, this change feels very much overdue, and it's one of those things where it's coming in at the right time, but it feels like for you personally, it's been a really long journey, and it has been a long journey. And I think that when this change comes in, it's going to be such a relief. It's going to be, I'm hearing a balm to your soul. It's going to be very soothing to you. And you know, change can be exciting. Change can be a bit destabilizing, right? Sometimes it can be overwhelming. Even though we're excited, we're nervous. I feel like for you all, this change is so welcomed. This change feels like, I said, a long time coming, that you're feeling more of the excitement and less of the nervousness. Like you just feel so ready, so prepared. Just with the Dragons Slay Them All card, like you are so ready. And I love that there's this balance between Healing Waters and Dragons, because this Dragons card is coming out as very fiery to me. And I think part of that is the color story. And it's also making me think of the Six of Wands in tarot, because we have the number 6 in the corner. It's making me think of victory. It's making me think of success. And then, of course, with the Queen of Wands, you have fire sign energy, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. So it feels like you have gone through a period with the Hermit card here of just feeling kind of like you're on your own, you know? Like you just feel like you've had to pull back from everyone. You've had things that you had to figure out for yourself. You have felt just isolated. You have felt, even if you have close people to you in your life, you have just sort of felt with certain problems in your life, certain even like personal obstacles you needed to overcome, you know, habits that you wanted to stop, changes you wanted to make within yourself. You know, it just felt like this is a battle between me, myself, and I. You know, this is a journey that only I can go on, and only I can make these changes for myself. So you've gone through a lot of internal change, but I don't think there's been a lot of external change for you. And that's what we're talking about. This change that's coming in is going to be in your external environment. This isn't an internal change, because I feel like in terms of like your healing and your self-development, you've been doing that. You know, like you have already undergone profound personal internal change. So what we're talking about today is a change in your external environment. And with the Hermit card energy, you have been preparing for it for a really long time. With Healing Waters, you have learned how to fill up your own cup. You've learned how to pour into yourself. You have learned the importance of self-care, of setting healthy boundaries, of healing what you need to heal. Slaying Dragons makes me think of you dealing and coping with maybe some, I don't want to say inner demons because that feels like too strong of a term, but aspects of yourself that you feel like have held you back, or aspects of the past and people that you have known that are still energetically affecting you. Like you've dealt with all of that. You know, like you have made peace, I feel like, with where you've been so far. And I feel like it's just, we're moving forward now. And we don't know exactly where we're headed, but we have faith and we're excited about it. And the past is dust, the past is bones, like we're moving forward. And, you know, nothing about our past is going to hold us back, even our past version of ourselves, you know, like we're just moving forward, we're pushing forward. And so I feel like, again, because you've been through these profound internal changes, now we're seeing that reflected in your external environment. So you see how this Hermit, he is moving in the direction of this Four of Pentacles. And on the other side of that Four of Pentacles is this Queen of Wands character. So I feel like the next step for you is to show up in your own life as this Queen of Wands. So I don't care what your gender is or what your sun sign is, this is the energy that you will be embodying. And so with the Four of Pentacles here, and the Nest and the Community card, I feel like one of these big changes for you is finding a new social circle, connecting with your soul family, developing new friendships. And they're going to be lasting friendships, important friendships. You're going to find a community where you feel like you belong. And for some of you, especially with Community and Nest also being here, I feel like you could be relocating. Some of you actually could be moving. And so either it's just a huge change in your social circle, or finding even like an online community that really resonates with you. But who you get support from, who you share your life with, that's changing. And that's a big deal, because with the Hermit, we talked about you feeling isolated, you being maybe a bit lonely, you just focusing a lot on yourself. And so now your energy that was once turned very inward is now being turned outward. Okay? So friendship, that's a huge change. You're going to have a real sense of community. And a community isn't made up of just you and somebody else. So this is definitely more than one significant friendship coming into your life. This is you, like I said, you know, connecting with soul family members, finding even like an online community where you really connect and you really resonate, you know, with what that community stands for and what that community is interested in and what that community, you know, does for one another. And I wouldn't be surprised as well with this Queen of Wands and Community here, if any of you have any aspirations to develop like a social media following, or to be famous, or to have public recognition on some level, I wouldn't be surprised if that comes to fruition for you, especially with the Luck card here. And it's making me think of Sagittarius and Jupiter and expansion. I really could see that being a thing for you all. You know, developing a following, developing a fan base, or if you're wanting to start a business, developing a customer base, because the Queen of Wands is highly creative energy, and she is also very, very magnetic. You know, people are drawn to fire and the warmth of it, and I feel like people are just being very much drawn to you at this moment. And with you showing up as this Queen of Wands, you see how this community is gathered around this candle. So I wouldn't be surprised if you are at the epicenter of this community. So, you know, this could be, again, a fan base, a customer base, an online following for some of you. And even if you're not resonating with that particular message, you could be the nucleus that holds the entire friend group together. Now, you all know I like my reality TV examples. But if any of you have seen Married to Medicine, on I don't know how many seasons she was on for, but the very first season, Mariah, she is the one who came up with the concept for the show. And so she ended up having like a producer's credit. And she was the nucleus of the friend group, and everyone kept saying that over and over again. in that first season, she's the nucleus of the friend group. She brought all of us together. So you could be the one who connects all of these different friends to each other. And so it could be like a process. So maybe all of these friends, all of these soul family members don't come into your life at one time, but you develop this community over time, and it really feels like these are friendships where you have a really strong foundation. You know, you have really strong connections, and you being the sort of nucleus or the epicenter here of this community, I think that a lot of them are going to be grateful to you for connecting them with other people that they really resonate with. And, you know, I had that experience when I was in high school. I remember I was in PE class, and I was in just a weird schedule that year. You know, like I was in the IB program, so it was pretty much guaranteed I would always have at least like 2 or 3 friends in every single class because it's such a small group. And I had like, you know, 2 different like social circles I would go between. But I remember I had one PE block where it's with everybody. You know, it's not just with the IB kids. And I don't know how it happened, but I didn't have a single friend in that class. And that was so crazy to me. And I had gotten so used to just knowing I would have at least 2 friends in every single class. And so I was super introverted, even more so than I am now when I was in high school. And I was like, man, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I gotta put in the effort to make a new friend. Like, good God. And I remember seeing this girl, and I was like, hey, I know her. She was in the IB program too, but we had never really communicated. But I knew she was friends with my friend Sarah. And I was like, oh, that's Sarah's friend. Sarah was like my best friend. And so I just went up and started talking to her, and I never would have had the courage when I was in high school. I would now, but not back then. When I was in high school, I was a lot more shy than I am now. And I wouldn't have had the courage to approach her if it weren't for me knowing, oh, she's friends with Sarah. So it was almost like because I knew she was friends with Sarah, I was like, she must be a relatively cool person. You know, if Sarah's friends with her, she must be pretty cool. And I felt comfortable approaching her because, you know, we had this mutual friend in common. And so it could be a situation like that where you don't necessarily introduce each and every one of these friends to each other, but because they know, hey, you're friends with group 1, you're really cool, you may start to notice that your friends start to become friends with your other friends, even if you don't necessarily introduce each other, because you are bringing all of these people into like the same social circle that you are creating. So, I mean, you know, you're that girl or you're that guy, you know, like you are the center of the friend group, which is, you know, pretty cool. And also, if you are resonating with that message of it being like an online community type of thing or like a social media following, that makes a lot of sense too, because it's like, oh, I follow this, let's just say you have an Instagram account. Oh, I follow group 1 on Instagram. Their page is really cool. You should check them out. They post blah, 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 blah. And so your community could build like that through word of mouth. So again, I know it's a lot of messages, so please just pick and choose what resonates, because I don't know, maybe a lot of people are choosing group 1, but it's just a lot of different messages coming through. And I will also say, because I feel like maybe I glossed over it before, but a lot of you, I think, with the Hermit card, have been searching and seeking and searching and seeking for a sense of belonging, a sense of home. And so you're finally getting that. And so I think it's partially getting it through this community and your connections with others. But for many of you, you could actually be relocating. You could be moving to a new place entirely, or moving to a new home and you are nesting. You are making that new house, that new apartment, your home, that new city, your home. And I feel like it's everything you've ever wanted. Now, for some of you with the Four of Pentacles, this could also be talking about a new job, but I feel like for a lot of you, this isn't really talking about your career or professional life unless you are resonating with that message of, you starting a business or you developing a social media following, that kind of thing. But I feel like for a lot of you, it's, the people aspect, the community aspect, and it's the home aspect. But I definitely feel like, especially with the repeating fours, because we have that Four of Pentacles, but then we also have the luck card with the 4-leaf clover. I really feel like for many of you, this is bringing about so much more stability. I feel like before with the Hermit energy, there was this restlessness. You were constantly seeking, trying to understand yourself better. And it was just a process almost of like rebuilding yourself. And so you have rebuilt yourself. You are stronger than you ever have been. Brick by brick, I'm hearing you rebuilt yourself. So I think, your past must have been quite difficult, quite challenging for you to have to go through that Hermit journey. But I think now with the Hermit, the Hermit talks a lot about our philosophy, and what we believe in, and kind of our understanding of our place in the universe and how we fit. And so now that you've gone through all of that, you know what's going to bring you that emotional fulfillment. You know what your life wants to look like. And so now it's just a matter of you piece by piece building that for yourself. So you built yourself up internally. Now it's time to build yourself up in the external world. And with the Four of Pentacles to the Queen of Wands, you were going in full throttle. And luck, fortune is favoring you. The universe is working with you. They want to support you. They want to see you win because you've done all of the hard inner work. So like you're ready for your flowers, like you're ready for your blessings. And with this nest card as well, I feel like for some of you, and this is a more specific message, but with the nest and the Four of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands, now that I'm looking at this again, especially with the Queen of Wands being depicted on this tree, it's making me think of a family tree. For some of you, you could be possibly starting a family. Again, more specific message. I know that not everyone wants children, but if you're wanting to start a family, or if you're wanting to start a business where you'll have a legacy or you'll have generational wealth, I could see that being possible for you all. That's not going to be an immediate overnight change, obviously. But with the Four of Pentacles, piece by piece. And you see how the pentacles are in her mouth? And then she has two other pentacles closing her eyes, or covering her eyes, I should say. It's like, I don't need to see any proof that this is going to come to fruition for me. With the Queen of Wands, I have so much confidence in myself that I can speak, the pentacles on the tongue, all of this into existence. I am the creator. We don't have the Empress card here, but that particular Queen of Wands, especially if you could see the parts that are being covered by the puzzle pieces, is really giving me Empress vibes. I feel like once you get through that Queen of Wands energy, your next stop is going to be the Empress. I really feel like that's going to be the next level, or the next level in your self-development journey. Like your confidence, your sense of self-worth, your understanding of, again, like your place in the universe and how this all works as a co-creator with spirit. A total up-leveling, because the Empress is the queen of all queens. So you will have a really great understanding of what it means to harness and utilize divine feminine energy to its full capacity. Beautiful, beautiful energy. And again, like, your gender doesn't matter. When we talk about divine feminine energy, we talk about receptivity. And I've started to understand, and I don't know if this is because I'm pregnant, but I've been getting the Empress card so much, and I think when you tap into and connect with one energy over and over and over again, you start to understand it better. And I feel like I've had an epiphany with the Empress energy where it's clicked with me. As we talk about feminine energy being passive. And yes, it's not as action-oriented as masculine energy. However, the Empress is usually depicted as someone who is pregnant. And so when you're pregnant and you're sitting there and you're not moving, right? It looks like you're not taking action, you're passive, you're sitting there. But how much is going on inside of a pregnant woman's body when she's just sitting? Inside, she is growing whole organs for another life to be birthed into this reality. That is incredible. And I think there's a lesson in that. And I feel like you understand that with the Hermit, that even when it looks like we're sitting still, even when it looks like we're not doing anything, that doesn't mean that inside we're not changing on an incredible level. Even with, a pregnant woman, it's not just the changes that are happening with the fetus. Your own body is changing to make it a hospitable environment for that growing life inside of you. Your brain is changing. Your heart gets bigger. The amount of blood volume in your body, it's crazy. Obviously, like your uterus, a lot of changes happening there. You gotta make room for that baby. And it's amazing. And you're just sitting there. And, if it wasn't for the outside changes, that growing belly bump, you would never know what's going on inside. And so I think there's something to be said for that. I think there's something to be said for when we put in that work with the healing waters, when we pour into ourselves, when we stop, because sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to stop, sit still, and reflect. I feel like when life throws us challenges, so often we feel this need to hurry up and problem solve and figure it out and take action to try to fix it. And sometimes the best thing to do is just to sit still, to reflect. Because sometimes when we take immediate action, we make more mistakes. We are trying to solve a new problem with old ways. Sometimes we need to tap into our inner guidance, and that can take a minute. And so I feel like you kind of get that with the Hermit, where you're like, listen, I've been walking for so long. I've been soul searching for so long. And I think now it's time to rest. Now it's time to stand still with the Four of Pentacles. Now it's time to assess everything I've learned and how far I've come. And now that I'm in this place of rest, it's time to build. I've done enough soul searching. I've done enough inner work. Now it's time to build. And I have so much more knowledge of myself. I have so much more love and acceptance of self and understanding of self, that I can build a life that truly reflects what I want. And so it's incredibly beautiful. Incredibly beautiful. And I think I just want to end your reading now with this Nest card. This particular deck has poems in its guidebook. So I'm going to read the poem to you all, and that will wrap up your reading. We have Nest. Building a nest is an ordeal. It's never perfect, but perfect enough. Held together with broken branches and whatever one might forage. Such work is never truly finished. The nest serves its purpose and it's left abandoned afterward. But life goes on for all involved. If I can remember what I'll do, because I don't know, for me, when someone reads aloud something, I don't absorb it as much as if I read it for myself. So I'll try to remember to include the written version of this poem at the end of your reading. If I forget, please remind me in the comments and I'll put it in the comments section. But I think I should be able to remember. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Group 2, welcome to your reading. So what change is happening next in your life? We have the Five of Wands, we have the Ace of Cups. I did put 2 puzzle pieces over this card just because it's a little bit revealing and just to keep YouTube happy. Got some puzzle pieces over that card. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Talk about a change, right? The Wheel of Fortune. We'll get into the meaning of the cards in a second, though. We have Tears of Joy and Sadness. We have Voyage. You already have all the answers. We have Thrift Shop Magic. We have Bodega Cat. How cute is that card? And we have Echo here. Okay. A lot going on. It was the same thing with Group 1. A lot going on. But this is really beautiful. You have such a beautiful spread. With this Wheel of Fortune, the change that's coming into your life is fated. It is at least partly here, divine intervention. And I say partly because here's the thing. With the Thrift Shop Magic card, Bodega Cat, and Echo, Spirit has been whispering to you, has been trying to nudge you along to make this change for a minute. And I think that it's a big change with the Wheel of Fortune. And it would be something that would make you a bit nervous, I think, to act upon. And so they've been whispering, trying to give you signs, trying to nudge you along. And I feel like for whatever reason, you haven't taken that plunge. And maybe, the circumstances weren't right. Maybe some self-doubt was holding you back. Maybe a fear of failure with the Five of Wands. Maybe this change involves something that is maybe competitive, like maybe you are wanting to go back to school, but I'm just throwing out examples here. But maybe you're wanting to go back to school, but you're afraid to be back in that kind of academic environment because maybe it's been a minute for you and you're worried you won't measure up, to the other students, or, you're afraid that you're just not good enough. Or maybe you want to get into a certain career field that's very competitive and you're worried you don't have what it takes, or, you want to move somewhere where it's difficult to make it. If I think about moving to another country, maybe you're worried you'll be at a disadvantage because you'll be a foreigner in that country. Maybe you don't speak the primary language. Or maybe you're just afraid of finding a job because people tend to favor, people who live in that country. It's hard to get a job somewhere if you haven't moved there yet. Something like that. Or you're worried about getting your passport and things like that in order. Or you want to start dating again, but you're afraid. You're worried that no one's gonna want to be with you for whatever reason. You just feel like, why would someone choose me when there are better options out there? Maybe it's like that. So, maybe you've tried like online dating in the past and it hasn't worked out, or, it feels like just something that with the Ace of Cups, like it's close to your heart. It's a dream that you really want to make happen for yourself. It's something that, like a wish you've been carrying around for a minute and you keep feeling called to it. You can't quite let it go. You can't, I think deep down at some point, you're gonna have to act upon it because that wish, that dream isn't gonna go away. And I relate to this group too. I can't tell you how long I have wanted to write a novel. I've wanted to do it for so long. I read so many books. And I'll have moments where I finish a lackluster book and I'm like, I could have written something better than that. But, life gets in the way sometimes. And it just seems like such a big task, and it's definitely something that I want to start working on next year. But I think, we just kind of get caught up in our day-to-day and it's easy to put things off. And it's easy to talk ourselves out of things. And so whatever has been holding you back, I feel like with this particular Five of Wands here, and especially with Bodega Cat being here, the message here is listen, you are divinely protected. We want to see you win. We want to see this happen for you. So we're turning this wheel in your favor. You haven't heeded the call. You haven't answered the call. With this Echo card, you haven't taken this step. And even if you've taken some steps, you haven't taken it far enough. And so Spirit is saying, listen, we are going to meet you halfway here. We understand that this is scary. We get it. So we're going to turn this wheel in your favor. We're going to bring circumstances into your life, opportunities in your life that do a little bit more than nudge you in this direction. We're going to push. We're going to divinely intervene in your life, and we're going to push. And with the Voyage card, you already have the answers. You already know what I'm talking about. Like, you already know. Because with the Ace of Cups, it's close to your heart. And I think with Tears of Joy and Sadness, it's so bittersweet. It's so bittersweet because I feel like it's a dream, it's a goal in a way that keeps you moving. But because it isn't realized, it brings you sorrow. So in a way, it gives you hope because it gives you something to fantasize about, something to daydream about. But because it hasn't materialized in your reality, you haven't really taken the plunge here. It's something that also kind of haunts you in a way. It's just an unrealized dream. And I think that makes you sad. Again, it could be talking about anything. It could be talking about your love life, your career. So I film at my dining room table, and my cat Gracie sits on the chair next to me while I film. And poor Tallulah, I think she's just trying to walk to her cat tree, and Gracie's giving her a lip. Okay, I think that they're done. She's going back to her other one. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, I feel like it's just something that has started to haunt you, because I feel like there's this urgency within you. You know, there's this sense of, and that's spirit pushing you. You know, that's the divine giving you that nudge. But there's a sense of urgency within you, a sense of, if I don't do this now, am I ever going to do it? And I think that makes you sad. I think that makes you so sad. And so with thrift shop magic, this is talking about a transformation. This is talking about a new life. If you donate clothes to a thrift shop and someone else buys, I don't know, that jacket you donated, that jacket now has a new life. And someone else has picked it up and said, this has worth. Something you casted aside, someone else is saying this has worth. And so I feel like the message here is twofold. One, don't let your dream become someone else's reality. Okay? If you don't take a step, a real step, towards this thing, someone else is out there living your dream. Okay? If we apply this to my example, my personal example, if I don't ever sit down and write that book, guess what? Every single day someone else is sitting down and writing a novel. Someone else is out there living my dream. Someone who could have half the talent, you know, half the creative capacity of myself, but they're out there doing it, you know, simply because they have taken the time and they have the confidence and they're doing it, you know, and, you know, that's just how it is. You know, if you don't act upon it, what difference does it make how much talent you have or how much you deserve it, or what difference does it make because you're not taking action towards it? The other message here is that if you do take action towards it, you yourself can be like that jacket. You yourself can have a whole new life. You can transform. We've already talked about with the Wheel of Fortune, Spirit is supporting you in this. With the Bodega Cat and the way this Five of Wands is depicted here, you have divine protection. Spirit wants to see you do this. They're like, yes, something about this is connected to your soul's purpose, and I don't care if it's not related to your career or your professional life. I think sometimes I think maybe because of capitalism, we just think that our purpose is related to our career, but our purpose can be related to parenthood. It can be related to our friends. It can be related to our family, our loved ones, our romantic partner. It's not always necessarily related to our professional life. And, you know, I think for some of you, like, you are meant to travel, you are meant to relocate, you are meant to do something big. And it with this mermaid tail being in the background here, I really feel like, again, this is something that is going to deeply transform you. It's going to give you a whole new life. The way it's floating in the water here, diving into the water, something, again, very close to your heart, something that's going to nourish your soul. And I also feel like with the mermaid card, it may be a 1 in a million. You know, it may be a shot in the dark. It may feel like, who am I to even try to go after that thing? But it's something that you're meant to have. Otherwise, Spirit wouldn't be giving you so much divine support, wouldn't be nudging you so much. And like I said, that nudge is going to turn into a push. And that's the change that's coming with that Wheel of Fortune. It's divine intervention. So I can't tell you exactly what that push is going to look like, but something is going to happen in your life that forces you to take that plunge, do the scary thing, and go after what it is that you have been wanting. With that Ace of Cups, what is closest to your heart right now? Don't let, again, someone else live a dream that was meant for you. And I'm not saying there's not room enough for all of us to succeed, but what I am saying is that you don't want to be in a position where you never took that plunge, you never took those steps, you never tried. And someone else who may not be as deserving as you, or may just not be as talented or skilled or as knowledgeable or whatever as you, whatever this relates to, doesn't even want it or care about it as much as you do, isn't half as passionate about it. Don't let someone else live your dream. And I do believe what is meant for you will always be there for you. But I think that is true in the sense that it exists as a potential. What is meant for you can always potentially be yours. But I do think that we have a responsibility. And I think that's the missing piece that a lot of people don't realize. We have the responsibility to take action towards it. If we don't, it always exists for us as a potential possibility. But unless we act upon it, it is always that it is potential energy. It is a potential timeline for us. We have to claim it as our timeline. We have to claim it as something that belongs to us by taking those actionable steps. We co-create with Spirit. Spirit doesn't hand us everything on a silver platter. Is Spirit giving you a lot of help? Yeah, a ton. And they should, and awesome, great, you deserve it, group 2. With the rainbow here in the back of the thrift shop magic card, it's making me think of the 10 of Cups. So, I mean, your emotional fulfillment, Ace of Cups, this opportunity that Spirit is trying to give you, trying to push you towards, it exists as a real possibility for you. But again, you have to take steps towards claiming that potential as your reality. It's making me think of the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I believe her name is Elizabeth Gilbert. She also wrote Eat, Pray, Love, which I did not read. It's not really my jam. But I read Big Magic, and it's not typically a book that I would read either, but it was so good. And I've talked about it before on the channel, but it's been a while since it's come back up. But she explained, and it's been a very long time since I've read this book, but she explained this concept that ideas are basically like energy, like they're living things around us. They have energy. And those ideas, those creative sparks of inspiration that we get, are ideas that are waiting for a receptive vessel that will bring them to fruition. And if we don't act upon it, you know, if we get that creative spark of inspiration and we don't act upon it, sometimes the idea will wait, but it can only wait for so long. It wants to be birthed into reality. It wants to have someone to express it. And so if we neglect it, and she called it our genius. So when we call someone a genius, it's not something that's actually inherent to them. Their genius is something that finds them the same way ideas find us. That's our genius. So her whole point in explaining it was to say that our genius isn't something that, again, like is inherent to us. So if we create something that people don't like, you don't have to take it personally, because it's not something that came from you. It's something that you were receptive to creating. You know, it was an idea that was outside of you. But anyway, and I explained that very poorly. But anyway, she explained how she had this idea for this book, and she had started on it, but certain things happened in her life to where she had to put it aside, and she never really came back to it. She was then, I think she was at some kind of conference or convention, and she was talking to someone, and they were describing the book that they were about to publish, or that they had just published, and it was her idea. And mind you, she had never spoken to anyone about it, but there were so many little details about it where she was like, that's my story. That's my story. And she wasn't mad about it. She was like, you know, my genius got bored. You know, I wasn't creating the idea, so the idea went to go find a different vessel. And so I feel like that's kind of the message here too. Like, how long is this creative spark going to wait for you? Regardless of what it is, you know, again, it can be about anything. But if you never do anything with it, your dream again becomes someone else's reality. And it was meant for you. It found you first. So yeah, I think really when this Wheel of Fortune moment happens, please embrace it. Don't be scared. If you are, that's okay. But just, like I always say, you can be scared and do the thing anyway. So don't let fear hold you back here. This was really, really meant for you. Don't hesitate. Don't delay any longer. And have confidence enough to know you are divinely supported. This is meant for you. Do it. Take the opportunity when it comes to you. Run with it. Don't delay. Okay. I do want to end your reading now with reading the poem that's in the guidebook for this echo card. I will also try to remember to write it out for you all at the end of your reading. That way, if you absorb it better through reading it yourself, you have that option to do so. Okay. We have echo. The night air is crisp. One voice ripples off across the plain, like a drop of water into the ocean. And from that single pale whisper come blooming many distorted howls, indistinct echoes which can only repeat. Its true meaning is lost amidst the field of dancing wind. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Group 3, welcome to your reading. So let's find out together what life change is about to happen for you all. We have the Eight of Swords, we have the Two of Wands, we have the Emperor card, we have Anything is Possible, we have Candle Magic, we have Lighthouse, Don't Doubt Your Worth, I Am Always Enough, we have Affirmation for Growth, and we have Idleness. Okay, Group 3, your message is incredibly straightforward. I mean, your reading, I think, is going to be a lot shorter than the other two. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't, but it's very straight to the point, clear as day. With your tarot here, this life change that is going to happen is a result of you taking action. So I think with some of the other groups today, there was an element of divine intervention. With you all, that's just not the case. Your life is changing because you're deciding it's time for a change. I do think Spirit is supporting you and getting out of this Eight of Swords energy that has really kept you trapped in place for a minute, that has kept you feeling stuck and stagnant. I feel like, you're starting to come to this place of understanding that you're the only one holding you back right now. And that's a bitter pill to swallow sometimes, but that's what it is. The only thing holding you back from what you truly want and desire is you disempowering yourself. You not realizing that you have more choices available to you, that you have the power to change your life, that you can get out of this on your own, that there comes a point in time where you can plan and plan and plan and plan, but no plan is perfect, right? We can plan all day for a major change in our life, but until we start to take those steps, we don't really know what the outcome is going to be. So, for example, you can say, I'm going to plan to buy a house, and you can do all of your due diligence, you can do all of your research, and you can find the perfect home for you. But then they do an inspection, and it turns out that something is wrong with the foundation of that house, and it wouldn't be financially wise to buy it. And then you're back to square one. Something like that, okay? So you're starting to realize that all of this planning, all of this visualizing that you're doing is really just keeping you stuck in place. You've done enough preparation at this point. You have. And I feel like you're starting to come to that realization. And with the Emperor card here, you're like, you know what? If I want my life to change, I have to do something about it. I'm the one keeping myself stuck. With this affirmation of growth, you're ready. You've done, again, enough preparing. You have mentally prepared as much as you possibly can. And if you feel frightened, if you feel afraid, that's okay. But you still got to take that action. And don't question it. Don't doubt how worthy you are, how capable you are, how smart you are, how talented you are. Go after it. Do the thing. Make that change. Anything is possible. And you won't know what the outcome is until you get busy with it, until you get started. Sometimes in life we have to take a leap of faith. Sometimes in life we have to take control. We have to take the reins. Sometimes our guides don't want to come in and swoop in and save us. Sometimes they want to see us be the hero of our own story. They want to see us make that change, step into our power. Spirit isn't helping you because you don't need their help. Are they, like kind of giving you divine support from the sidelines? Yeah, they're cheering you on, but they're not intervening in your life in the same way they're going to intervene in group two's life. For you, they're supporting you from afar, but they're stepping back because you got this. You have everything within you that is needed to make this happen. Candle magic. You have the fire within you. You have the light within you. You don't need them to save you. And you are meant to make a change. You are meant to push forward. With idleness, you have stayed in one place for too long. The moss is growing on that turtle. It's time to get moving. It's time to move on. It's time to step into your power. It's time to go after what it is that you want. There's not really much more to say about it. You got this. You can do this. You see how there's this little red bird on top of this turtle? That's kind of like your guys right now. They're watching over you, but they're not helping that turtle move. That turtle's got to get moving on its own. And even if you take baby steps towards this, movement is movement, progress is progress. Like the turtle and the hare, you'll get across that finish line one way or another. Or maybe it was the tortoise and the hare, I don't remember. But the point is, you got this. Even if you take baby steps, you got this. As long as you move forward, as long as you take action, you can do this. And it's gonna feel scary, it's gonna feel uncertain, it may be a little bit rough in the beginning, you may have to make adjustments on the fly, your plan may go out the window entirely, but you can do it. You can do it. This is coming, listen. I could never have predicted, never in a million years predicted how this year would wrap up for me. Where I started in January, my life is entirely different. I live somewhere else. I am married now. I have a baby on the way. My career is different. My entire day-to-day life is different. I never would have thought I could achieve so much and change so much in such a short period of time. I had to make a really tough choice and walk away from a friendship that I've had since high school. I mean, it's been so many changes. I've reconciled with others that I didn't think I would reconcile with. It's just been a lot. And I mean, it really started with one decision. I'm going to move. I have been so unhappy. So unhappy living in Georgia for as long as I did. I was so unhappy. And it was just one decision, and it was like a domino effect when I decided that I was going to be brave and take that leap of faith. It's like everything else fell into place, and it wasn't easy at all. It was a massive adjustment, and I'm still adjusting. Every single day I'm still adjusting. But I think sometimes we can pray and pray and pray that our guides will relieve us of a certain situation, of something that we're unhappy with. And sometimes that relief doesn't come. And it's not because you're meant to stay stuck. I do think it's very true that the universe will never let you know peace in circumstances you're not meant to stay in. However, I think sometimes Spirit wants to see us step up. And so it's not meant to be a punishment. It's almost like with a child, like you can come in and you can save them over and over and over again. But I think if you do that, they'll continue to encounter the same kind of scenario over and over and over again because you are denying them the lesson that they're meant to learn. Sometimes we're meant to learn the hard way. I think I definitely in that situation had to learn the hard way. And I needed to step up and do something to help myself. And when I said, you know what, I deserve better than this, this isn't working, I'm not meant to stay in this, that was when my whole life changed for the better. And so even if your situation isn't as dramatic as mine ended up being, I think ultimately the message here is you're meant to save yourself this time. You're meant to save yourself. You're meant to take action. You are meant to be the hero of this chapter of your life. Spirit isn't stepping in to help you because you don't need their help. You don't. You can do this. You can figure this out. You got this. You are ready. And I think it's going to turn out so much better than you could ever imagine. Okay, to wrap up your reading, I want to read the poem that's in the guidebook for this idleness card. And what I'll do, if you're someone who absorbs information better by reading it rather than someone speaking it to you, I'll include the written version of the poem at the end of your reading so you can review it or even screenshot it if you want to look back at it later. Okay. It says idleness. Cool moss creeps up on stones, on the unmoving, on the motionless. A comfort in stasis, a slow corruption of languid heart. Lovely place for a little pause, but don't dwell too long, for the soul stiffens without use, and the bird goes mute without song. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading.